April 19. Such a pleasure to meet you here. Grab a coffee and let's get smarter together. Today's subject, bullae. And while clay tablets inscribed with some obligation of future payment that were then sealed inside clay envelopes and marked with a borrower's seal sound like something 5,000 years removed from us and therefore something to forget about, I argue they are important to understand us and our mental health today. You see, they prove something. Markets and materialism, that's the reduction of lives and humans to a bottom line in a world where everyone must constantly sell something, more often than not oneself, are not intrinsically entwined. Groups of people throughout time worked hard to establish the idea until it now seems like a natural law. It's not, but that's a story for another day. So, bullae. They were used in Mesopotamia once writing was invented. Obviously, before writing was invented, no one could write. They represent already a step away from a pure human economy in which people simply supply goods to each other, knowing that they would receive what they would need at any other time. More often than not, the system was kept deliberately imbalanced because it gave some reason to keep the personal relationship going. We still operate like this with people close to us today, friends, neighbors, sometimes family when the ties are close, as to the rich and powerful, the descendants of the uber-explorers, because sharing is how exploration becomes possible. But that again is a story for another day. Bullae became a thing in Mesopotamia because the standardization efforts already had an effect on the people's thinking. We meet people who knew their neighbors still well enough to trust them to be accountable, as it was always the case, but there was already the spark of doubt created that made it impossible to trust completely. It wasn't because of a number of people coming together in one place now because of urbanization with large number exceeding the Dunbar number, etc. pp. We know today that people even before cities dealt with an astonishing amount of others throughout their lives. What caused this is exactly what the founders of the heroic societies picked up on and rejected. An emphasis on exploitation of existing ideas over exploring is detrimental to general sharing. The thing that establishes the permission structure to explore and thus create the most benefit for all. You can't be an explorer in a world of exploitation without people supporting you. The impact was mitigated though by the annual jubilee in which all bullae about private debts were broken and thus all debt cancelled. The idea that everyone was entitled to what they needed to go out and explore to benefit all in case of success ran deep, millennia deep, including the trust that this was exactly how everyone naturally operated because it had been the way everyone naturally operated for millennia. Meaning not automatically expecting that everyone else would exploit the system for their advantage, a position most jump to immediately today. What's further interesting is that interest, and even compound interest, predates writing. So the origins of interest will forever remain obscure, but we know that Mesopotamians used interest-bearing loans in commercial settings. The few commercial settings they had. The standardized goods, however, approved from the gods didn't sell themselves. So temples and later palaces would forward wares to merchants and commercial agents who would then trade them in the nearby mountains and on trading expeditions overseas. Upon returning, the trader would then repay the value of the sold goods plus a fixed interest rate. We could talk about the fundamental lack of trust in merchants and commercial agents this practice signifies. The temple bureaucrats could just as well have considered a deal with the traders in which they got a share of the profits once the trader returns. But What is important to note here is that people back in Mesopotamia were perfectly capable of doing the math. The new ratios, how many of X go into Y. What they never did, however, was concluding that understanding mathematical ratios means understanding the universe, including human behavior, as everything, according to Pythagoras, is ultimately composed of numbers. The fundamental belief that knowledge itself about yourself and the world was a good that could be owned and exploited hadn't yet taken root. Exploiting hadn't yet become the end-all of life. That was still exploration. There was still trust in oneself and others. That's what that means. Find that trust again. Explore, also known as think. Make a habit out of thinking. Let's turn thinking into a movement again. It's the natural choice and most beneficial for all. Like, comment, share, and follow, lest you miss a single opportunity to improve yourself and society. And just like that, coffee break is over. Have a trustful rest of the day.